I'd like to thank the university and Dick and Chris Hamilton and the Vision Shared folks for asking me to be here today as part of this very important dialogue. And particularly thank the Coal Association for inviting me back, because I wasn't sure after the last time I spoke that they would want me back, but here I am. And I guess I'm going to be a bit of a heavy today. I'm very pleased to be part of this dialogue, but I'm going to take quite a different perspective. I'm no expert on coal, and cannot add to the dialogue that has been delivered here other than to suggest a few competitive pressures that are at play that may seem small to you all now, but I urge you to pay close attention. They have a momentum and a potential and a growth worthy of your thought and your consideration. For many years in the 90s, I was a partner in this industrial engineering firm in Los Angeles, and we did strategic planning for major corporations, and I enjoyed having the studios and aerospace and so on as clients. One of the things we always did when we performed our analysis was to challenge the CEO to some very embarrassing questions to make sure that he had considered all of the economic, environmental, and political, and internal and external forces that were hard at work in his business, and urged him to pay attention to them and understand them, not try and discard them just because he didn't like them, and just because they were pressures he thought were foolish or dismissed. That's a mistake. So I bring that perspective to you today as I outline what I feel is at play in the changing energy dynamics globally, nationally, and here in my chosen state of West Virginia. I think thermal coal is in serious economic trouble. Many long-term supply contracts are expiring in the next few months, and the prices are going up through the roof. So I'm just going to concentrate on thermal coal, not met coal, because that is important in steel making and there is no substitute. But what I'm talking about is the alternatives that are competing with thermal coal that are growing dramatically in terms of their competitiveness and their price position. In addition, we're seeing all sorts of increase in costs of steel, concrete, and so on. So the building of power plants has become a very expensive thing. And as many of you are well aware, there's been over 55 coal-fired power plants that were on the drawing boards that have been canceled in the United States alone. And it's because of costs. And we know of the advanced coal-fired power plant that was canceled because of the costs. And the Greenbrier plant was just canceled because of costs. And a lot of other issues as well. In the meantime, the cost of silicon is coming down, down, down. It's been dropping for years. Why? Because the production of solar cells is increasing so dramatically and so rapidly all over the world that the same economic advantages that led to the computer chip dropping in price is now being applied to silicon and solar cells, as well as concentrated solar power plant technologies. And so these economic pressures are happening, and they're very serious. I'm very concerned about the premise in the Vision Shared report that talks about renewable energy as if it's something that's going to happen in the future, or it might happen, or it's a very small part of things now. And I urge you not to take that posture, because renewable energy technologies are not only very well advanced, they're into their second, third, and even fourth generation of development. And the prices of those energies and technologies is dropping continuously. There's been a shortage of silicon, so there was a leveling for a couple of years. But in recent conversations I've had with BP Solar and some of the other people, they say the supply of silicon is about to catch up to the manufacturing of solar cells in about a year and a half, so that the shortage of solar cells is about to be solved. But how many of you would love to have a business that's grown at 35% a year for the last 7 years? That's what's happening in the solar cell industry around the world. Germany has embraced it and is now one of the leading companies, and it's kind of ironic because solar energy was a uniquely American energy when I first got into business years ago. There is a slide that I wish I could have shown you, and I thought I brought with me, but I didn't. And I must acknowledge that I only committed to being here this Friday because I thought I was supposed to be in Los Angeles today for my business. So I come to you not as well prepared as some of the other folks with slides. But But there's a FERC slide that I've seen in the presentation that shows the anticipated costs of future power plants. And I'll try and get that to you so that you can circulate it. And that study was conducted by FERC, which is what, Federal Energy Regulatory, whatever. And it shows the cost of solar power plants being lower, less expensive than any coal-fired power plant that has carbon sequestration attached to it. It shows it closely competitive with a coal-fired power plant that doesn't have carbon sequestration. So you see that the solar industry is becoming more and more and more competitive. And of course, carbon sequestration has some issues of technology. I've read predictions that say it's not going to be commercially viable for at least 10 years, maybe 15. The president of Arch Coal said 15 to 20 years a few months ago. And as Dave Flannery said at a recent meeting of the Public Energy Authority and at Stonewall, the legal issues associated with carbon sequestration on huge commercial scales are very significant and as yet unresolved. Now the Germans, we look to Germans, for example, because they developed the coals to liquid process. They've abandoned coals to liquid. They don't use it anymore and they don't intend to. In fact, they are abandoning coal-fired power plants, as are many other jurisdictions. The Germans are talking about building concentrated solar power plants that will be competitive with oil at $50 a barrel. That's pretty competitive. California is building CSB plants again. They're building on-demand plants, not peaking plants when the sun is shining, but plants with energy storage so they can be on demand that will deliver power at 10 to 12 cents a kilowatt. That's pretty competitive. I keep hearing prices quoted to me here that, oh, solar is 35 or 40 cents a kilowatt. Well, California's signing up. The Pacific Gas and Electric and San Diego Gas and Electric have contracts being developed like that.